Okay. So, we start introducing these ideas. We start thinking about a little bit about how people are committing crime, that they're they're processing this information, they're weighing out the costs and benefits, and then they make this ultimate decision of committing crime, right? So, what it was basically saying, right, is that we have Tim right here, right, and in his head, right, let's say that he decides he wants something, right? And maybe it's a new camera, maybe it's some Jordans, maybe it's the hottest jeans, maybe it's a watch he saw an influencer on Instagram or whatever, right? So for this, we're just gonna draw some treasure, right? So this little treasure, it's right here. We have its hinge, and it's filled with gold, right? Right here. So in it, right? But he knows that maybe that this is inside a home, right? And it's inside. He knows, though, that there's a little door. We'll paint it here that he could get through. It's not his, though. And he can see like a little camera right here viewing in, ready to see him, right? So in this situation, rational choice is thinking about a couple things, right? So one is like, wow, there is treasure, right? Now, the thing is, right, he doesn't know how much treasure is in here, right? He doesn't know how big it is. He doesn't know if he's going to be able to sell it or anything like that, right? So he knows that's going to be in play, but we know there's treasure, right? We also know, though, in a separate kind of like thought as well, is that, we know, there is the appearance of a camera. Is this working? Is it not? Who knows? We don't know for sure. We know that there's this wall. Maybe he could be, heard if he like broke in or opened the door. Is it locked? Is there, another person over here seeing him, right? So is he going to be seen? The other part is like, what's it going to take? What kind of tools will it take? How long does he have? Right? That comes into place, right? What's going to go into doing it? And then if you think about, like other decisions, right? Here to, like, hey, he probably realizes, hey, this is wrong. I shouldn't do this. Perhaps he's thinking he would be judged, or, he's going to get caught by police. Maybe police are around, he'll have to go to prison, right? So, all these things are said to be like a baby going through someone's head. Now, some people may be more risky. They may view this as something that they are more likely to do for whatever reason, right? So when we think about like crime itself, like when's it happening? So rational choice, again, not the one I wanted, emphasizes that there is this process of information that can be, put into head and put into thinking quite quickly. And because people are either maybe impulsive, they don't consider full information, they can make poor decisions, right? Such as being unable to really think like, yeah, I shouldn't do that, or maybe I should do that or something, who knows, right? So when we think about this kind of behavior, let's start moving through some criteria, right? So again, I'll pick some, you guys can work through some others, and you can make this a discussion point, perhaps, like whatever you want to do. So when we think about scope, right? So, what kind of behaviors is this able to explain? You think about scope, right? This is definitely good for instrumental crimes. So, we are able to, if you think there can be some kind of gain to you, right? At the same time, right, this could be both a property, as we illustrated with Tim trying to steal treasure, or this could also be through violence. Like if you want someone dead to get something, an example that I always like to use because it's just ludicrous is that there was someone in my hometown or near my hometown who like had a CPS report filed against them, and their babysitter who was had special needs, was like going to testify to CPS, and she ends up killing the special needs babysitter to make sure she could keep her children. So it was instrumental violence to get her to shut up and not, like rat her out so she could keep her kids. She's on death row in Texas right now. So fun stuff, you could do that. But we see this huge scope, right? We also see that this is able to, since it gets into different processes, right? It's able to explain why crime occurs. So people weighed out the costs and benefits, and then they were able to make a decision to commit crime. It also explains why people do not commit crime. So people weighed it out, and they're like, you know what, I don't want to do that, right? Or it's not something they valued. They chose an action. They valued other stuff other than that, or maybe they found alternative means to get what they want. Point being, right, is that there is like quite a bit of scope that goes into this. When we think about a different criteria, right, say policy implications, so a different set of circumstances come up, like a different color. So we think about policy. One, we want to change people's thinking. And this could be through education. Maybe people feel like they don't have a chance or benefit or neighborhood. They think it out. So if we can change your environment, or you can change the pressures that are facing you, we can change your thinking or opportunity to make crime not seem as like your only chance or your only risk, right? We can also view it is that, maybe we just need to change environmental stuff. So if we change like the appearance of a camera, if we change the lightings, you're more likely to get seen. If we change like police patrols, this is something that can happen, right? So this is something we can directly do in order to correct stuff, right? So those are two examples of something you could do with this kind of information. We could also not necessarily entrap people, right? But we want to we could also change and communicate, which is also key, punishments or shame or society expectations. So if you went on like a public education kind of spree, you could say this behavior is unacceptable because of blah, 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 and that societal influence could affect someone's behavior. And so that could be really useful, right, in explaining behavior. The other part we can come back to is with precision and clarity. We have some struggles that we face here, right? So one is that the benefit for anyone is loosely defined. And so it's just something that someone perceives as a good thing that may or may not be good. So there's not a lot of depth. It's not really clear about like what we're talking about, and it could vary from person to person, right? So you have this flexibility due to a vagueness, right? But is this like really useful, right? Without like a clear understanding, if we say it, like we could see almost anything as a benefit, or maybe it's not, right? Depending on what it is. If we think about like a cost, right? We can think like time, effort, and so on, right? Or whatever costs are, risk of being caught, imprisonment, something like that, right? Then it's something that could be a problem, right? So if we don't have that, then it could create like a real issue in terms of what exactly is valued, So, again, something else to keep in mind. This is especially kind of a problem because we accept that this varies from person to person. So when it changes like that all the time, it makes it really hard to define from like from one perspective. So just like be mindful of that. Yeah, because it's difficult. It creates a challenge. Now, the other part of this, right, is that when we start exploring correlates of crime. So, let's think about like that, for example, right? So, how would you guys explain, the role of biological sex or poverty or ethnic background? Right, so these are all things that can come up, age as well. So these are all things that we are hoping to explain. And for this, right, I think this would be a great series of questions to explore on Packback. I'd love to see what kind of questions you have about this, maybe explain your justification for an answer, really get in depth here, right? I think all that would be really good. So I'll leave that for y'all to discuss amongst yourselves. All right, so we'll end this